What's going on YouTube? Kris here with another video, 30 days of content. And in this video, I kind of just want to share with you my entrepreneurial story and how I got started in entrepreneurship and how I knew at a young age that I was destined to be an entrepreneur and how I knew this is what I wanted to do. So when I was like 6 years old, when you're like in grade school and you get that assignment, what do you want to be when you grow up? So I remember getting that assignment and taking it home and asking my mom for help if she could help me like write a one paragraph, saying what I wanted to be when I grow up and why. And I asked her, Mom, what should I be when I grow up? And she said, Kris, you could be anything you want. You could be a doctor, you could be a fireman, policeman, a veterinarian, be anything you want. I said, Mom, I want to be an inventor. I want to create things. I want to create things that have never been created before. Can I be that, Mom? She said, yeah. Yeah, Kris, you can be whatever you want. I didn't know it then, but I know it now. What I wanted to be was an inventor. It was that four-syllable word that to this day I still have trouble spelling. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship has been in my blood at a very young age, and as I start to look back on my life, I start to see how I've embodied the characteristics and the qualities of an entrepreneur. I remember being 8 years old, 9 years old, 4th and 5th grade, and our school had a fundraiser. Our school had every year we had a fundraiser. We had to sell chocolates. We had to sell boxes of chocolates, and the top 10 salespeople in the class or in the school would get rewarded with like a limo trip to like the local arcade and a giant pizza party. And I always wanted to be number one. I always wanted to be the number one salesman. And I love the idea of selling. I always loved the idea of being number one and earning something. So I remember begging my parents to take me door to door. Mom, Dad, take me door to door. I want to be the number one salesman. I want to sell a chocolate to people. I want to go to the pizza party. I want to go to the arcade. I need to be the number one salesman. And as I look back now, I remember going on the limo. I remember going on the trip and winning the arcade trip. And I've always had that ambition, that passion to do better, that passion to be number one. At the age of 11, I started my first business. At 11 years old, I'll tell you a little story here. My parents, they went to Vegas, and I was really big into baseball. I was a big Marlins fan growing up and still kind of am today. And my dad had brought me back a Marlins hat. Now, I already had a Marlins hat. He comes back to me with a hat and he's like, Kris, I bought you a gift. I bought you a Marlins hat. I'm like, thanks, Dad, but I already have a Marlins hat. Thanks for the gift. And he goes, okay, if you don't want it, I'll take it back. And he takes it from me and he puts it on his head and he reaches in the back and there's a little switch that I didn't see. And the switch, triggers a set of lights and the hat lit up. The hat had lights in it. And I loved the hat. The hat had lights and I would wear it all the time. Now, we used to have season tickets back then and we go to a lot of the games. So I would always wear the hat to the games and a lot of people were like, man, that's a really nice hat. Where'd you get it? And I would always tell them like it was a gift, whatnot. So I really liked this light up hat that my dad had got me. But I'm like, you know what? I need a shirt. I mean, I got a hat now, but I want to get like a light up t-shirt, something that says like Florida Marlins and like lights. So at a very young age, at the age of 11, I started doing research on the computer of how I can buy lights and how I could put lights on a t-shirt. And I found a website, I found a company that was selling LED lights that you could just kind of tie onto a t-shirt. So I bought the lights and I went to my grandma and I had her stitch up a prototype because she was really good. She was very hands-on. She was really good with like sewing and stuff like that. So I had her sketch out a design on the shirt with the lights. So now I had a light up shirt and a light up hat. And I remember going to the games now and I would get a lot of attention from the fans. People would ask me where I got the hat, where I got the shirt, that they really loved it. And I decided to start a business out of it. I decided to go get business cards. This is before, making a website was really simple. This is when websites used to cost like $5,000 and $10,000 to make. And this is when the internet was still in its infancy. So I remember going to like Kinko's or Office Max and getting business cards. And all I had on my business card was my name and an email address. No website, no phone number. I didn't even have a phone back then. I was 11 years old. And what I would do is on Saturdays during the Marlins game, they have this thing called Super Saturdays. So what Super Saturdays was pretty much you'd go to the game on a Saturday. The game would start like at 7. After the baseball game was over, they'd have a concert. They'd have like a local performer perform. And what they would do is they'd turn off all the lights in the stadium. They shut down the big jumbotron and it go completely dark. And when their lights went off, my lights went on. And this is where I started my entrepreneurial journey. What I did was I got my business cards and I walked up and down the aisles of what used to be then Pro Player Stadium, which now the Marlins have a new stadium. But they used to share a home with the Dolphins. And I would walk up and down at 11 years old, passing out business cards to sell up my light up shirts. I did this for the remaining games of the season, and I didn't sell one. I didn't sell one t-shirt, not one. But as an entrepreneur, I always understood that just because you fail doesn't make you a failure, and just because you lose doesn't make you a loser. And I always knew that you had to have thick skin. So I never got down. I never really got angry or mad that I didn't sell any t-shirts. I would have obviously liked to have sold some, but it didn't end up happening. So fast forward a couple years later, I'm in high school now. So I'm in high school. I'm about 14, 15 years old. And I have a new hustle. I have a new journey. I have a new business idea or business venture, I guess you want to call it. And what I started doing was I started buying and flipping iPhones. I didn't know it then, but now it's what they call retail arbitrage. So what retail arbitrage is basically when you take advantage of the different price points in the market of a different good or service. So for example, I would purchase an iPhone on Craigslist for, let's just say $130, and then I'd buy that phone cash for $130, and I would sell it on eBay for $200. And I did this all day, every single day. I remember driving sometimes an hour just to pick up a phone that I got a really good deal on. I would get an iPhone for $100 and I'd flip it on eBay for $220, $120 profit right there. And I did this all throughout high school. I used to buy phones, I used to fix them up. People who had their cracked screen, I learned on YouTube, I learned by reading books, I learned how to fix the screens and how to repair them, how to get the parts for cheap, and then charge for that service and then flip them again. So if you had a broken phone and you thought the phone was busted, I'd buy it for $50, I'd repair it, and I'd sell it for $200. I've always been a hustler. I've always had the ambition to do more in life than the status quo. I've always been pushing the status quo. Another thing I did in high school was I sold textbooks. A lot of times kids, they didn't really know what the value of a textbook was because the parents would just give them the money to buy textbooks. So they had no idea what a textbook would cost on the resale market. So at the end of the year, every year when you have to clean out your lockers after school, this was like my Christmas. I used to enjoy this time of year because kids would just throw away their textbooks. And to me, they were just throwing away not only knowledge, but they were throwing away money. And when they saw just a textbook with paper that was all used up, I saw dollar signs. So what I did, I remember rummaging through the garbage and picking up textbooks, and I would take home about 10 to 15 textbooks in my book bag, as many as I could, throw them in my car, and I'd go the next day and I list them on Amazon. I would sell used textbooks. And I wouldn't list them immediately on Amazon because the school year just ended, so no one was really going to try to buy textbooks now. I had to wait till like August, end of summer to sell the textbooks. I'd hang on to them until I could get more money for them. That was smart. I understood supply and demand back then. My senior year in high school, I started programming Apple TVs. Now, Apple TV, if you're not familiar with it, it's like a little box where you can watch movies. And basically what I did was I learned on YouTube and by reading blogs and articles online how to jailbreak it, which pretty much means you get all the free movies you want on it. And that one Christmas of my senior year, I remember selling like 20 to family and friends, and I would mark it up $100. I mean, the Apple TV would cost $100 in the stores, but I would program it. It would take me about 30 minutes to program it, and you had all the free movies. And I made like a couple grand that Christmas just selling those as gifts. So I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always been a hustler. I've always had a hustle. I've always had something going on. And as I progress through life and I start getting into college now, I have to figure out what I want to do, and I'm starting to get a better idea of what I want to do. So my freshman year of college, I decide it's best if I get a certification to be a personal trainer, because I was really into fitness at this time. I wanted to learn how to train people, how to get them in the best shape of their lives, how to motivate them. So I said, you know what, I'm going to buy all the textbooks and I'm going to learn I'm going to become a certified personal trainer. So it took me about 6, almost 8 months to get my certification. I finally got it. it took a lot of time. I mean, you pretty much had to learn every muscle in the body. You had to learn how the body moved, how it functioned. So it did take some time, and that was probably one of the most challenging things I did at the time. This was about at 18, 19 years old. So then one summer, I'm down in Miami, and this is the time I was going to school in Tallahassee. I was going to Florida State, and I'm down in Miami for the summer, and I have my certification as a personal trainer. And I'm thinking to myself, well, no gym's gonna hire me for 3 months if I have to leave and go back to school in August. So that's out the door. I can't personal train down in Miami and work at a gym. I need a new hustle. I need a new business venture. I need to make money. And I've never been the type to go work a 9 to 5 or the type to go make $8 an hour. I've always been working smarter. So I knew I wasn't gonna go take a job at the local pizza place or a job at Wendy's or McDonald's. I wasn't gonna do that. So what I did was, I remember I had traveled to New York a couple months back, and I was walking down Chinatown in the streets of New York. I remember there was a table. There was a guy who was selling selfie sticks, like the big sticks you pull out and you take selfies with. And this is when the selfie stick had first come out. I remember asking him, I said, man, how many of these a day do you sell? He says, well, I can move about 8 to 10 in an hour, and I'm out here for about 8 to 10 hours a day. And I started doing the math, 8 to 10 an hour, 8 to 10 hours a day he works. And I was kind of doing the numbers. I'm like, damn, this guy's taking home about $200 a day just selling selfie sticks. What I did was, I then went on AliExpress and I ordered about 20. This was like the summer of my freshman year after getting certified. I ordered about 20 selfie sticks. And as soon as they came in, I went down to Lincoln Road down in South Beach. If you've ever been to Miami, Lincoln Road's like a very touristy outdoor shopping mall. It's pretty much like tourist central. So I knew it would be a good spot. So I went to the garage. I used to play baseball. So I got a baseball bucket, threw out all the baseballs, and I put all my selfie sticks in there. And I drove to Lincoln Road Mall, and I stood outside in the corner, and I sold my selfie sticks. Now, I got these selfie sticks for like $2 and like 15 cents a piece, and I would sell them for 15. I'd pretty much just sell them, standing out selling selfie sticks. And I would sell about 5 to 6 an hour. I would be making, and a good day, I was making about $60 an hour selling selfie sticks the entire summer. Now, when I was out there, one of the days, I get approached by a gentleman who later became to know as Alex. He approaches me on a hoverboard. And he comes up to me and he says, hey, I've seen you out here for a couple days now. You look like a pretty good salesman. Do you have a license to be selling these things? And I said, of course I do, of course, yes. Now, I didn't know if he was an official or an officer who was going to give me a fine for not having a license to be selling, because technically you're not supposed to be selling these kind of things on an outdoor shopping mall. You're taking business away from the stores who pay rent to sell there. So I just said yes, and I just went with it. He's like, well, I've been looking for someone like you. I have these hoverboards that just came in. They're the brand newest technology, the newest trend, the newest toy, and I want you to help me sell them. And I said, yeah, man, I've seen those things before. Those things look cool. They look dope. But I kind of want one for me. Like, I want to get one for me. Like, they look cool. So I remember this day like it was yesterday. I remember going to the ATM, dropping all my stuff and just putting it in the car. Going to the ATM, pulling out $300 cash, which was pretty much almost all the money I had at the time, and paying him $300 to buy a hoverboard. I remember buying the hoverboard right there in the spot, going home, learning how to ride the hoverboard within an hour. And then what I did next was I just posted on social media. I posted on Snapchat, I posted on Instagram, and it blew up. All my friends were like, whoa, what is that? What is that thing you're on? I want one, I want one, I want one. Boom, it clicked. I then knew where the next trend was. I then knew what the next venture I was going to get into. So I went back to him. I called him on the phone. I said, hey, man, I want to buy like 5 of these. So I bought 5. I borrowed some money from my brother. He lent me some money so I could buy about 5 hoverboards. And I sold them. I sold the 5 to like friends, families, and extended friends within the matter of a couple of days. And then I said, whoa, there's a real potential to make money here. So I decided to buy more and to start a business selling hoverboards. So I was selling 2 things at once. I was selling hoverboards and I was selling selfie sticks on the side of the street on an outdoor mall on Lincoln Road. and I started a business selling hoverboards. Now that business, it went like this. It hockey sticked up, then it went straight down. It was kind of like a roller coaster. It only lasted, it was a very trendy product. It only lasted for a couple months. And after that Christmas, I couldn't sell one. I had a lot of issues. It was probably like the first real business I actually started that I actually made money on. And I had a lot of issues. I didn't know how to build a website back then. I didn't know how to market. I didn't know a lot of things. And just by learning, one of the best things I learned was just to go after it and get started. And you learn by mistakes. You learn by trial and error. And you gotta fail. You gotta fail, and you gotta fail fast. Just because you fail doesn't make you a failure, and just because you lose doesn't make you a loser. And I learned so much from starting that business. I made a little bit of money, but overall it wasn't a success. It was a 4-month, 5-month business that I had to close immediately after because just too many things were going wrong, and the market for it wasn't there's no longevity in selling hoverboards. So I had to shut down the business, and I was distraught. I was devastated. I thought, this is it. This is my next big idea. This is the one that's gonna, this is the home run. And it didn't turn out that way. But I never lost hope. I never gave up. And then when I came back to school, I was about a sophomore, and I got a job working at a gym. Because I remember I told you I was certified as a trainer. I got a job working at a gym, but I worked there for about 6 weeks, and then I quit. I said, I was training old ladies. I was working for someone else. I was working 30 hours a week while being a full-time student, and I wasn't making any good money. I mean, I was making more money selling selfie sticks and hoverboards and flipping iPhones than I was working at a gym, doing what I thought I loved. And it wasn't fun. I spoke to the owner. I said, look, I'm sorry, but this is not what I thought it was going to be. This is just too much. I don't want to do this anymore. And from that day forward, I remember saying to myself, I'm never going to work for anyone again. This is just not worth it. And I've always been a hustler. I've always had that ambition. I remember when I was working at that gym, I would close. I would start at 3 o'clock, and I would leave at 8. I had class from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. I would have time to get a quick lunch break, and then from 3 to 8, I'd work at the gym. And after I left the gym, you know what I would do? I would go to other gyms. I would go to local apartment gyms, and I would sneak in. I would sneak into local apartment gyms. I would prospect. I would go to people who are working out, and I would tell them, hey, look, my name is Kris. I'm a certified personal trainer, and I want to give you a complimentary workout. When are you free this week? I'd sign them up. I had a clipboard. I'd schedule them in for a free consultation, a free personal training session with me. I work them out. I give them the best workout of their life. And then I would sit down with them, and I'd pitch them. I'd try to sell them one of my workout plans. And 9 times out of 10, I was successful, But you got to have that ambition. You got to have that hustle to push the status quo and to do more than what's expected. And you got to really embody that if you really want to be successful. And that's, as I start to look back, I see all these different entrepreneurial things that I've done that's led me to the person I am today and has molded me to be the person that I am today. What's next? Because I don't want to be a personal trainer. I mean, I thought I was passionate about fitness, which I still kind of am passionate about fitness, but the whole concept of having to trade your time for money wasn't for me. The whole concept of working 8 hours, you can only have so many clients. You can only make so much money as a personal trainer. There's a ceiling. I didn't like that. I mean, I liked helping people. I liked motivating people, but I knew there was a bigger purpose in life for me than being a personal trainer and just being a gym rat. I knew there was a bigger purpose. So I said to myself, what's next? What's next? So I started a business selling light-up shoes. I started an e-commerce website. This was about 2 years ago. I started an e-commerce website selling LED light-up shoes that were drop shipped from China. And I remember people telling me that was a terrible idea. No one wants light-up shoes. What are you doing? No one's going to buy any. Now, I had no inventory, of course, very little startup costs. But I was making money every single day, every single week. But they didn't understand. What my friends and the people who told me this stuff, what they didn't understand was there was a market. They thought just because they didn't want something, that the market didn't want it. But I knew there was the market out there for light-up shoes. So that business lasted a couple months, and then I ended up selling the website. I ended up selling the website because I said, you know what, the hell with this. I don't want to sell light-up shoes. I want to do something else. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I want to start different things. I get bored very quickly with different businesses. So I want to do something else. I want to move on. I want to create something new. Like I said when I was 6 years old, I want to create things. I want to create things that have never been created before. So that's what my passion is as an entrepreneur, is creating and innovating. So I said, what's next? Again, I asked myself, what's next? So I ended up getting my real estate license that summer and learning real estate. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna be a real estate agent. I'm gonna make money with that. But I'm still, I'm still a college student, so I kind of put that in the back burner because I knew that wasn't like a main priority right away. Maybe something I wanted to do after I graduate, career-wise. So I put that in the back burner, and I started another website. Now this is the website that already in 2 months has generated me over 100,000 in sales. I think actually I just hit 150,000 yesterday. I did 150,000 in sales in 2 months. I've made close to $50,000 profit in the last 3 months, and it's been going quite well. Now it's really crazy what I've been able to do as an entrepreneur. Now I just finished developing a course where I teach people how to create online businesses and online stores through drop shipping, through e-commerce. It's just mind-blowing the results I've been able to generate, and it really makes me think how awesome this entrepreneurial journey is. So as I look forward and I think about longevity, I think I have so much more to achieve, so much more to accomplish. I have to keep going. I have to keep failing. I have to fail fast and fail frequently. That's the key right there. Thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, please do me a favor. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these videos.